How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer coming at you with another video. Hope you're all doing well. Got a quick little rant for you, if you will. Now, as a lot of you know, I'm currently working my way through, I want to say I'm just a little bit over halfway through Disney's Illusion Island for the Nintendo Switch. So I have lots to say on this game. We'll hold off on that for now. We'll talk about it when I do my review in a couple of days. But I've been pleasantly surprised. Wow. Let me try that again. I've been pleasantly surprised with what the game has to offer. That being said, if you've watched any reviews online, a common theme that is brought up when anyone talks about this game is the term Metroidvania. And wow, let me tell you, this is a phrase that has bugged me since its inception. And I want to talk a little bit about it. And if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm off base, that's fine. If you think I don't know what I'm talking about and you want to blast me in the comments below, go ahead. See, when I grew up, my parents, when we got an NES, I want to say around 1989, the first game that we got, other than the packing game, Mario and Duck Hunt, was Metroid, the original Metroid. So at an early age, I was exposed to that game. And just remember playing it and not knowing where to go. And it was just really organic and just not your typical Mario or Sonic game where it's you go from left to right and there's a checkpoint and then you move on to the next level. This was non-linear. Hadn't seen this before. Very, very intimidating to play that at the time when I was, 6 years old. And later on, my parents, can't thank them enough. They picked up Super Metroid for me when it came out. Expensive games back then, too. Super NES games were damn near $100 back then. And that was, inflation rate now, $100 today is not what it was in 1994. So it's just weird how that sort of thing, here we are almost 30 years later and games are still about the same price, even though we complain about how expensive they are. That's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for another day. And I want to say the Metroidvania term came to be maybe after Symphony of the Night came out, because that was, one of the first Castlevania games that kind of had a map, like an overworld map, similar to Super Metroid, where you could see where to go and you could backtrack and all the rest of it. Never mind that the game's not quite the same as Super Metroid. Okay, they're quite different. Let's be honest here, but they share the same map. And you can traverse from the way in which you came. You can go back to where you started, and you can go forward, or you can go back, and all the rest of it. So, okay, there's some similarities there. But it ends there. Okay? There are two different games. Okay, as far as I'm concerned. Metroid plays a hell of a lot differently, more different than Castlevania. And I can't stand it when people in the gaming community feel the need to lump these two together and classify all these other games out there as Metroidvania. I fucking hate that term. It drives me nuts. It's always driven me nuts. I know I'm not the only one out there that can't stand it when people call it a game Metroidvania. Okay? This is something that all the hipsters use to describe any game that's not necessarily linear, that's a 2D side-scrolling game, if you will, that's got the ability to traverse vertically or horizontally, and you've got a map you can pull up where you can see where to go. All of a sudden, it's a Metroidvania. It's a Metroidvania. Stop. Okay, just stop. Stop. Okay? You got people out there calling Disney's Illusion Island a Metroidvania. Okay? The game's got nothing in common with Castlevania. Nothing. Nothing. And the only thing it has in common with Metroid is the fact that you can go anywhere in the, I guess you would call, non-linear environment. You can go all the way back to the beginning of the game with powers that you've obtained and special moves. And you can unlock areas that you weren't able to get to before. And you can go all the way back to the end of the game. Back and forth, back and forth. That's all it has in common. Okay? Okay? You can't kill enemies in this game. You can't. It's not part of the gameplay. Okay? There's no guns. There's no violence. There's no blood. Okay? There's no swords. Stop. It's not a Metroid game. It's not a Castlevania game. There's no keys. There's no doors to unlock. Well, yeah, maybe there is. But stop. It's not a Metroid game. It's not a Castlevania game. It's not a mix of both. Just fucking stop it with that already, okay? Stop it. So I was watching a video from a guy who's really gotten into, this style of game, and he calls it Metroidvania. I'm not going to name the channel because I like the guy. And he started talking about a game called, I got it here, Yoku's Island Express, which looks really good. I'm thinking about picking it up for the Switch. It got a limited release, I think, through Play Asia and Limited Run Games, so I might have to resort to eBay to get that one. But Yoku's Island Express, you play as a beetle, okay? And you can't jump in the game. You can go from left to right. And you actually have, in the environment, flippers, like pinball flippers. And when you're near one of these flippers, or you roll onto one, you can use the flippers to shoot Yoku traversely, if you will, to progress into the environment. So it's a crazy. I know it sounds crazy. You have to check it out. Check it out online. Yoku's Island Express. It was critically acclaimed when it came out because here's a game that manages to fuse the idea of pinball with a side scroller and actually make it work. And it looks really cool. You got people calling this a Metroidvania. Like, when is it ever going to end? Just stop, okay? Stop. What's that game that came out on the Switch and the PS4? Axiom Verge. Okay, I could see that being a Metroid clone. Okay, call it a Metroid clone. Don't call it a Metroidvania. Okay, Bloodstained. Okay, what is it called? Curse of the Night. Cursed Ritual. Bloodstained. That's a. Wow, lose my train of thought here. That's a Castlevania clone. Okay, there's nothing about Metroid in that game. That's not a Metroidvania. Okay, just stop trying to melt these two games into one. They're completely different. They have nothing to do with each other. Okay, fuck off. So that's what I wanted to sort of rant about. I wanted to just vent my frustration with the video game industry, the community, the hyper casuals that like to classify all these other games out there as Metroidvanias. Okay, it's either a Metroid clone, or it's inspired by Metroid, or it's a Castlevania inspired game. Stop trying to consider a game a Metroidvania, okay? No, Metroid and Castlevania are not one and the same, okay? Stop trying to fuse these two together, okay? Stop using that term Metroidvania. I can't fucking stand it! So, yeah, I'm going to cut it off there right around the 10-minute mark. That's going to do it for me. But let me know in the comments below. Am I way off base? Do you like the term Metroidvania? Do you think it's valid? Do you use that term? If you do, stop coming to this channel, okay? I don't want to see you here anymore. So anyways, that's going to do it for me, guys. The next video that I come back with, it'll probably be a review on The Darkness 2. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Take care.